Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Ever feel like, the world's changing so fast you just can't keep up? Almost like you're constantly behind, playing catch up.
It's a common feeling.
Yeah. This book we're looking at tackles that head on. And trust me, it's got some seriously insightful solutions.
Right, yeah.
Today we are going deep, deep into shifts. 6 steps to transform your mindset and elevate your leadership by Dr. Adeyemi.
Interesting.
It's almost like a guide.
Mhm.
A personal development manual, but specifically for dealing with all this change.
Makes sense. Change is the only constant, right?
Exactly. Whether you're leaving a team or just, trying to improve your own life.
Right.
You can find a link on Amazon. It's down in the description. And hey, if you enjoy these deep dives, hit that like and subscribe button.
Definitely.
So Dr. Adeyemi, he makes this really interesting point. He says, real transformation, that lasting kind, it doesn't come from some, external quick fix. It starts inside within you.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's about those internal shifts, your mindset, values, even how you see success.
So how does he go about explaining all this?
Well, what's fascinating is he uses stories from his own life, to show how these principles actually work.
Oh, interesting.
He built a whole thriving organization in Nigeria
Wow.
and teaches leadership globally. So it's not just theory with him, he's lived it.
That's always more compelling, for sure.
Right. And some of his stories are, mind-blowing. Like there's one about his daughter. She learned fluent English just from watching American movies.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a perfect example of this principle we call see and hear. The basic idea is that we're always absorbing things, right? Images, sounds,
Right.
and all of that shapes our subconscious, even when we don't realize it.
It's kind of like a vision board, but for your whole life, you're saying.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
makes you think, what are you absorbing every day? Is it shaping your view of the world? Are you even aware of it?
It's a good question to ask ourselves, for sure. But it's not just about passively absorbing stuff either, is it?
No, absolutely not. Adeyemi talks about how he had this like aha moment
Mm-hmm.
watching a leadership video.
Uh-huh.
Totally changed how he approached reading.
So instead of passively consuming,
He started actively looking for insights, things he could actually apply.
he calls it extracting meaning, right? From this information overload we deal with constantly, we're all reading articles, scrolling through social media, but are we actually turning any of that into something useful?
Exactly. He challenges us to go beyond just, knowing things. It's about deep understanding and then acting on that understanding.
I see. So how do we actually do that? How do we turn all this information into something actionable?
But that's where Adeyemi's insight step comes in. He actually gives some really cool tools, like journaling prompts.
Journaling.
Yeah, to help you, dig a little deeper.
That's interesting. What kind of prompts?
One that I thought was really powerful. He asks you to visualize your current leadership mindset, how you approach tasks, deal with challenges, interact with people. And then
Okay.
he asks you to visualize the leader you want to be.
Oh, that's a good one. So you see the gap, right, between where you are and where you want to be.
Exactly. And that awareness is the first step to bridging that gap.
Right.
And, Adeyemi makes a point that effective leaders, they don't just have these insights, they're decisive.
They take action.
Yes, they turn those insights into plans and actions.
He doesn't just throw out be decisive, though. Does he give some guidance on how to do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He provides a framework for decision-making, so you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis.
Overthinking everything.
He even talks about this concept called cropping the picture,
Cropping the picture.
where you take, a really complex situation and distill it down to its most essential element.
I like that. Simplifying things.
And he connects this to something called the Pareto principle.
Uh-huh. Familiar with that one?
It's that idea that 20% of our effort often produces 80% of the results. He's basically saying, let's figure out that crucial 20% and focus our energy there.
It makes sense. Clarity, especially in a world full of distractions.
Right. But Adeyemi doesn't just focus on, individual action. He talks about values too,
Values.
both personal and organizational values.
Uh-huh.
And he argues that when those are misaligned,
You're going to have problems.
yeah, it creates tension and dysfunction, like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Definitely. So how does he suggest we approach that alignment of values?
Well, one of the most interesting things he shares is how his organization embraces transparency,
Oh, how so?
like to an almost radical degree. He talks about making his salary public,
Whoa.
being accountable to his board of directors, even when they might disagree with him.
Wow, that's pretty rare.
Right. But his point is that it builds trust.
And accountability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are essential for any team that wants to perform at a high level.
It's all about building that strong organizational culture.
He's got a whole chapter dedicated to the modern workplace, bridging those generation gaps, how to lead remote teams, all that stuff.
Yeah. That's super relevant these days.
Definitely. One thing that really stood out to me was this concept he calls speed mentoring.
Speed mentoring.
It kind of flips the script on that traditional view of mentoring, like the long, drawn-out process.
I see what you mean.
Speed mentoring, it's all about those quick interactions, really focused. Everyone benefits, not just the mentee.
That's interesting. So you're saying even the mentor gets something out of it.
Exactly. In today's world, things move so fast. Everyone has something to teach and something to learn.
No matter how old you are.
Exactly.
I like that. So this is especially good for, a multi-generational workforce.
Absolutely. Adeyemi argues that instead of looking at generational differences as these obstacles, we should see them as opportunities.
Opportunities?
For growth, for innovation.
Okay, I can see that. Makes you rethink those stereotypes, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about leveraging the strengths of each generation.
To create a more dynamic work environment, for sure.
And one that's more inclusive.
He doesn't shy away from those challenges of leading remote teams either, does he? It can be tough to build trust when you're not face-to-face all the time.
Right. And to really build those connections when you're not physically together.
Adeyemi talks about how important it is to have clear communication protocols,
Setting those expectations, making sure people know what's expected of them.
And, making your presence felt, even if you are far away.
He actually shares his own struggles with this.
Oh, yeah.
He used to think of online participants as like a passive audience.
Just watching.
Yeah. But he had to shift his mindset. He had to see them as active members of his community.
That's a big shift, isn't it?
And it's so crucial, especially with remote work becoming the norm.
Like it is now.
And you know what? His organization, they were already ahead of the curve when the pandemic hit.
Because they embraced that new way of working.
Exactly. Shows how being proactive can set you up for success when big changes happen.
And that leads us to the last part of the book, where he really digs into the whole global leadership landscape.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
He challenges us to think bigger, expand our perspectives.
Get out of those cultural bubbles we all live in.
Exactly. He talks about how important cultural intelligence is, empathy, building partnerships based on mutual respect.
All good stuff.
He even tells this really powerful story about teaching a class on national development to teenagers in Nigeria.
What happened?
He showed them this vision of what their country could become.
Oh, wow.
And their response, it was electric. It really showed how powerful a shared vision can be.
Yeah.
To ignite action. It's a good reminder that leadership isn't just about, individual success.
Right.
It's about creating positive change that lifts everyone up.
I like that.
But here's a question for you. Do you think this whole focus on global leadership, is it relevant for everyone?
Good question. Even people who aren't in those traditional leadership roles.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, Adeyemi's point, I think, is that we're all leaders in some way.
Okay.
In our families, our communities, the workplace. And the world's getting so interconnected, cultural intelligence, empathy.
Right.
Those are essential for everyone, not just CEOs and politicians. Think about it. How often are you interacting with people from different backgrounds, different cultures?
Probably way more than we realize.
Exactly. Adeyemi is encouraging us to be more mindful of those interactions.
Yeah.
Approach them with curiosity, willingness to learn.
Be open to it.
Yeah.
It's funny, he even uses that anecdote, his daughter's friend learning English from American movies.
Oh, right.
To show how even entertainment could bridge cultural gaps. It can be a powerful way to learn.
It's a good point. It shows learning can happen in the most unexpected ways.
And that we should be open to new experiences, embrace that diversity of, how humans express themselves.
I like that.
And that openness is a key part of what he calls the global leadership shift.
It's recognizing there are lots of ways to see the world. Our own view is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. He says we should approach global leadership with humility, respect, and that willingness to learn from others.
Instead of trying to force our values on everyone else.
Exactly. It's about building partnerships, based on understanding shared goals.
Collaboration.
And he argues that this is how we tackle the big stuff.
The big stuff.
The complex challenges facing the world.
Poverty, inequality,
climate change.
political polarization, all of it.
He's saying we need to recognize that we're all connected. And we need to work together to build a better future. for everyone.
So it's a shift from that me versus you
That
mentality.
to a we're all in this together approach.
I see.
He argues this shift is absolutely crucial for tackling those big issues, the global issues.
Yeah. He even goes into the role of education in all of this, doesn't he?
He does. He thinks it's crucial for fostering global citizenship,
Yeah.
and promoting that cross-cultural understanding.
Makes sense. It's about equipping the next generation with the tools they need to navigate this increasingly complex world.
And to be agents of change.
Which
Right.
exactly.
But it's not just about celebrating achievements.
Mhm.
It's about tackling the root causes of inequality.
Creating a world where everyone has the chance to thrive.
Right. And he brings it back to his main point.
Shifts.
Yeah. Shifts are about more than just personal transformation. It's about creating a ripple effect.
That goes outward, impacts our communities, the world.
Exactly. And he doesn't just give us these, lofty ideas.
Right.
Remember those practical tools we talked about?
For journaling,
He
yeah.
provides tons of them to actually implement these concepts in our own lives.
In our organizations, too.
Absolutely. Journaling prompts, exercises for cultivating insights, tips for building that values-driven culture.
The whole package.
And he keeps emphasizing taking action,
Even small steps.
consistent action. He believes those small steps, they build momentum.
Over time, they lead to big change.
Exactly. But it's not about pushing forward relentlessly. It's about recognizing and celebrating those wins, keeping yourself motivated, reinforcing those positive behaviors.
One thing I appreciate about Adeyemi's writing, it's not dry. It's not some academic theory. There's enthusiasm there, passion. You can tell he genuinely wants to empower people.
To create a better future.
For themselves and for the world.
Makes Shifts a really compelling read.
More than just a book, it's like a roadmap for personal growth, leadership transformation.
And it's practical and inspiring.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that we all have the power to make a difference.
To create positive change, we just need to be willing to make the shift.
Absolutely. It all starts with us. One thing I found really insightful was his focus on values.
Oh yeah, he goes deep on that. How aligning our actions with our values, that's crucial for living a fulfilling life, a genuine life. And that's true for our personal lives and our work lives.
He doesn't shy away from the tough parts either.
No, he doesn't.
Like, what happens when our personal values clash with our organizations or even societies?
He encourages us to really look inward. Ask ourselves, what are our non-negotiables? What values are we willing to stand up for, even when it's uncomfortable?
It's about having the courage to live authentically, even if it means making tough choices.
I think for a lot of people, that's really challenging, but ultimately it's empowering.
You're taking ownership. You're recognizing that you have the power to create the life you want.
I was also struck by his emphasis on personal responsibility. We often blame outside factors for our situation, right?
It's easier that way.
But he's saying true transformation starts with taking responsibility for our own thoughts, beliefs, actions.
It's about recognizing that we have a choice.
And how we respond to any situation.
And those choices shape our reality. He uses this analogy of a ship's captain.
Oh, I like that one.
The captain can't control the wind or the waves, but they can adjust the sails, steer the ship in the right direction.
That's a great way to think about navigating life's challenges. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. What we choose to focus on. And he talks about having a positive attitude, too.
Choosing to see the good, even when it's tough.
Because our thoughts, they really do create our reality.
If you believe you can do something,
You're much more likely to put in the effort and actually make it happen.
but if we're filled with self-doubt or focus on what we can't do,
We're probably going to sabotage ourselves.
it's about that growth mindset,
Yeah.
believing that we can learn and adapt and overcome challenges. What I really appreciate, though, is that he combines this focus on personal responsibility with a really deep understanding of these systemic factors that can affect our lives.
He gets it. Not everyone starts from the same place.
Right. Some groups face way bigger obstacles.
And he talks about building a more just world, a more equitable society.
Where everyone has that opportunity to thrive, no matter their background, their circumstances.
It's about using our influence, our resources, to advocate for change, to support the people working to make the world a better place.
It's not just about celebrating success, it's about addressing those root causes of inequality.
Creating a world where everyone has a chance to succeed.
He also delves into the whole idea of finding our purpose.
Living a meaningful life,
Yeah.
one that's aligned with our values.
He encourages us to explore what we're passionate about, identify our strengths, use our talents to make a positive impact.
And he reminds us that there's no one right way to find your purpose.
It's about trusting your gut, following your heart.
Creating a life that feels authentic, a life that feels right for you.
One thing that really hit home for me was his emphasis on relationships.
Our connections with others, absolutely.
Our families, friends, colleagues, communities, they're essential for our well-being, for happiness.
He really encourages us to invest in those relationships.
To build those meaningful connections.
And to support each other through the good times and the bad.
He also talks about finding mentors, having those role models who can guide us, inspire us to reach our potential.
And paying it forward, right?
Right. Sharing our knowledge, our experiences to help others grow and develop.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected and that helping others succeed, it contributes to our own success and the success of society as a whole.
Adeyemi's book is a powerful reminder that leadership isn't about holding power over others.
It's about serving others, empowering them, making a positive impact on the world.
And that leadership starts with us.
Developing our own character, cultivating our strengths, living a life that reflects our values.
And it's about using our influence,
however big or small it might be,
to make a difference in the lives of others.
I think what makes Shifts so compelling is that it combines this focus on personal growth and leadership with a real sense of compassion, a commitment to social justice.
He challenges us to be not just successful, but good human beings who care about others, who are committed to creating a more just world for everyone.
One of the most inspiring things about this book is his belief in human potential. He truly believes each of us can make a difference.
And that by working together, we can create a better future.
For everyone.
He reminds us that the world is constantly changing, and the best leaders are the ones who can adapt, who can evolve, who can lead with vision and courage.
And one of the most important things to understand, especially in a globalized world, is the role of media and entertainment.
Oh yeah, how they shape perceptions, how they influence culture.
We're bombarded with messages and images constantly. And that has a huge impact on how we see the world, ourselves, each other.
Adeyemi encourages us to be critical of the media we consume, be mindful of the messages we're taking in.
It's about recognizing that media can be a powerful force, for good or bad. And it's our responsibility to figure out the difference.
And to actively seek out different perspectives, challenge our own biases. He also talks about the power of entertainment to foster understanding between cultures and to break down stereotypes.
Like that story about his daughter's friend learning English from movies.
Right.
Shows how entertainment can connect people across cultures, across languages.
It can be a bridge.
And it reminds us that we can learn and grow in unexpected ways.
It's all about being open to those new experiences, embracing the diversity of human expression.
And that's essential for effective global leadership. Recognizing that there are multiple ways of seeing the world, our perspective is just one piece of the puzzle.
Adeyemi encourages us to approach global leadership with humility, respect, willingness to learn from others.
Building those partnerships based on shared goals, mutual understanding, rather than trying to force our way of doing things on everyone.
He says this collaborative approach, it's essential for tackling those complex challenges the world faces.
Everything from poverty and inequality to climate change, political polarization.
It's about understanding that we're all interconnected.
Working together to build a more just, sustainable future for all. And this brings us to the core of Adeyemi's message, the interdependence of nations. He argues that no nation can truly prosper in isolation, not in today's globalized world.
We're all connected. Our fates are intertwined.
And that requires a shift away from that us versus them mentality.
To a win-win approach.
When one nation prospers, it creates opportunities for others to prosper too.
By working together, we create a world where everyone has a shot at success.
He emphasizes education too.
How it fosters global citizenship, promotes understanding between cultures.
It's about equipping future generations with the tools they need to navigate this complex world.
To be those agents of positive change.
And he talks about recognizing and rewarding excellence, no matter where it comes from.
It's about celebrating innovation, creativity, hard work, regardless of national borders, cultural differences.
And about creating a global culture that values and supports those who are striving to make a difference.
Adeyemi also talks about the dangers of ignorance.
How we can lead to poverty, conflict, injustice.
Knowledge is power.
And access to education is essential for empowering people, communities, so they can create a better future.
It's a call to action for leaders to invest in education, to promote literacy, to create opportunities for everyone to learn and grow.
And speaking of action, Adeyemi doesn't just inspire us with ideas.
Right.
He gives us concrete tools, strategies for actually applying the shift's framework.
In our own lives, our organizations.
Like journaling prompts, exercises for developing insights, tips for creating a culture based on values.
So the works.
He emphasizes taking action, even in small ways, because those small steps, they add up.
They create momentum, build habits that support growth and transformation.
And he talks about celebrating the wins along the way,
Recognizing your progress,
acknowledging the effort,
creating a positive feedback loop.
and having fun. Because transformation, growth, they can be challenging, but they should also be joyful. They should be fulfilling.
Adeyemi writes with such enthusiasm, such passion. You can't help but feel it.
It's contagious.
You can tell he really wants to see people succeed, wants to help them build a better future.
It makes Shifts a really engaging read.
It's more than just a book, it's like a guide for personal growth, leadership, and it's both practical and inspiring.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to make positive change, starting with ourselves.
And those changes can have a ripple effect, one that goes far beyond our immediate circle,
It can shape the world for the better. One thing that really resonated with me was his take on leading across generations.
Oh yeah, how to navigate those generational differences in the workplace.
He really dives deep into what makes each generation tick. Their values, experiences, the way they approach work.
He says instead of seeing those differences as roadblocks, see them as opportunities.
For growth and innovation.
It's a powerful shift in perspective.
It is. Instead of getting stuck in those generational clashes, we can use those different perspectives to create something better.
And that's what sets great leaders apart.
The ability to adapt, to embrace those differences, to build stronger, more dynamic teams.
Adeyemi offers some practical strategies for bridging those generational divides, like speed mentoring.
We talked about that earlier.
It's such an effective approach. It acknowledges that everyone has something to offer, regardless of their age or their level of experience.
Everyone has something to teach.
And everyone has something to learn.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those traditional hierarchies, creating a work environment that's more fluid, more collaborative, where everyone feels empowered to contribute.
Leading remote teams, that's another challenge of the modern workplace.
Oh, for sure. Especially these days.
It can be hard to manage people effectively from a distance.
There's less of that face-to-face interaction.
Building trust can be more difficult.
Definitely.
And there are challenges with communication,
Time zones.
Technology!
The whole shebang.
But Adeyemi's point is that it's not impossible. With the right strategies, the right mindset.
You could build high-performing remote teams. Teams that are just as productive and engaged as if they were in the office together.
One of his big recommendations, clear communication protocols.
Making sure everyone knows how to communicate.
What tools to use.
What are the expectations?
Fostering a culture of open communication.
Where people feel safe sharing their ideas and concerns.
That psychological safety is critical for any team.
Especially remote teams.
Where it's so easy for those misunderstandings to pop up.
Exactly. He also stresses the importance of setting clear goals for your remote team members. Making sure everyone understands their role, their responsibilities, what success looks like for the team as a whole.
And it's not just about setting those expectations and then stepping back.
Right.
It's about providing consistent feedback, support, making sure those team members feel valued, connected.
Like they're part of something bigger.
Because it's easy for remote workers to feel isolated. Adeyemi offers some strategies for combating that. Creating opportunities for social interaction, team bonding, even when people are miles apart.
Like what?
Virtual coffee breaks,
Okay.
online team building activities, even just regular check-ins to see how everyone's doing,
Just to connect.
It's all about recognizing that connection, that social aspect, is essential for morale.
And for productivity.
He also highlights how important it is to use technology effectively.
Video conferencing.
Project management software.
Online collaboration platforms.
All of that is key to keeping everyone connected, working well together, even when they're not in the same room.
It's not just about getting the work done. It's about using technology to bridge the gap, create that sense of community.
Adeyemi's insights on leading remote teams are so relevant these days.
Definitely.
And his strategies are practical. They can be put into action.
They give leaders a real roadmap for building successful remote teams. Teams where everyone feels happy and fulfilled.
And this leads us to the last part of the book, where Adeyemi takes on global leadership and cultural intelligence.
This is where shifts really goes beyond the individual, beyond even the organizational level.
To a global perspective.
He challenges us to think bigger about leadership in a wider context,
Understanding how interconnected the world is.
recognizing that our actions have ripple effects.
That go way beyond our immediate circles.
And that requires a real shift in mindset,
Developing cultural intelligence.
empathy.
The ability to build bridges across differences.
He illustrates this beautifully with an anecdote about teaching a class in Nigeria about national development. He showed the students a video. It was a vision of what their country could become.
Wow, what was the reaction?
It was incredible. They were energized,
Excited?
ready to take action.
That's what a shared vision can do.
It shows the power of inspiring others, of getting people to believe in a better future. And that's what Shifts is all about. It's a call to action for leaders at all levels.
From individuals
To organizations. To embrace change.
Yeah.
To cultivate a growth mindset. To lead with purpose, with integrity.
It's about recognizing that leadership isn't about power over others.
It's about empowering others.
Creating positive change.
It benefits everyone.
And he encourages us to look for our own sources of faith, to lean on when things get tough.
Yeah.
You know what else really struck me? His thoughts on forgiveness.
Oh, forgiving ourselves and forgiving others.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is. But Adeyemi really makes you think about it. He argues that all that anger, that resentment we hold on to, it just ends up hurting us in the end.
He's got a point there. Letting go of those negative emotions, it's about moving forward with compassion.
And he connects it directly to our well-being, our ability to build healthy relationships. It's a powerful shift, even if it's not easy.
Yeah.
Another thing that resonated with me was his emphasis on being present.
Yeah, savoring those everyday moments.
Appreciating the good things, big and small, and really being present in those experiences.
He talks about cultivating mindfulness so we can truly absorb the richness of each moment.
And you can feel that sense of presence in his writing, too. There's this positive, joyful energy. It's like he's fully engaged in his work, in his life.
It's contagious. And it makes Shifts such a great example of how transformation can be challenging, but also joyful and fulfilling.
It's not about chasing some far-off happiness, you know.
Right.
It's about finding that joy and meaning right here, right now.
One thing that stuck with me, Adeyemi says true happiness, it doesn't come from possessions or achievements. It comes from those moments of connection, gratitude, just simple joy.
Those are the moments that make life rich. And he encourages us to actively seek them out.
It's a beautiful message. It's about making a conscious choice to live a life that's full of purpose and joy.
And we have the power to create that life. We don't have to just sit back and let things happen. We can shape our own reality.
And that brings us to the core of Shifts, doesn't it? It's about taking control of our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions.
And using that energy to create positive change.
He gives us the framework, the tools, so many inspiring examples.
To make that change happen.
It's a powerful reminder that we can all be leaders.
We can all make a difference.
Even in small ways.
And by working together, supporting each other, embracing the spirit of Shifts, we can create a better world for ourselves and for future generations.
So if you're looking for a practical guide to navigate all this change, to unlock your potential, we highly recommend Shifts by Dr. Sam&PAM.
It's a game changer. The link to the book is in the description below. And we'd love to hear your thoughts, what resonated most with you from our deep dive into Shifts. Share your favorite takeaways, any ideas it sparked, in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into books and ideas that matter.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.